What if two of the world's closest military allies suddenly turned against each other? Today, we're diving into one of the most shocking hypothetical conflicts imaginable: a military confrontation between the United States and Israel. Before we begin, this is purely theoretical analysis based on military capabilities, not political commentary or advocacy for conflict between these allied nations.
Keep me updated.
The very thought seems impossible, given their deep strategic partnership. But examining this scenario reveals fascinating insights about modern warfare, geopolitics, and global consequences that would reshape our world forever. Let's start with the obvious question: how could this even happen? Any conflict would require a complete breakdown of diplomatic relations and fundamental shifts in leadership or national interests. Perhaps a radical change in government ideology, competing claims over critical resources, or a proxy war situation that spiraled out of control. The circumstances would need to be extraordinary. Now, the military mathematics. The United States possesses the world's most powerful armed forces with a defense budget exceeding $800 billion annually. America fields 11 aircraft carriers, over 13,000 aircraft, and maintains military bases across 6 continents. The nuclear arsenal contains approximately 5,400 warheads, with intercontinental ballistic missiles capable of reaching any target globally within 30 minutes. Israel, despite its smaller size, operates one of the world's most technologically advanced militaries. The Israeli Defense Forces maintain roughly 170,000 active personnel, but their strength lies in cutting-edge technology, intelligence capabilities, and battle-tested experience. Israel's Iron Dome system represents the most successful missile defense network ever deployed, intercepting thousands of projectiles with over 90% accuracy rates. Geography becomes the critical factor determining how this conflict unfolds. Israel's entire territory spans roughly 8,000 square miles, smaller than New Jersey. This compact size presents both vulnerabilities and advantages. Every Israeli city sits within range of potential American cruise missiles launched from Mediterranean-based submarines or regional air bases. However, Israel's defensive systems concentrate protection over this smaller area more effectively than defending a continent-sized nation. American strategy would likely emphasize overwhelming technological superiority and economic warfare. Satellite networks could disrupt Israeli communications, while cyber attacks target critical infrastructure. Naval blockades would strangle supply lines, given Israel's dependence on imported resources. American stealth bombers could potentially penetrate Israeli airspace, though the Iron Dome and advanced radar systems would detect incoming threats. Israeli strategy would focus on asymmetric warfare and rapid decisive action. Their submarine fleet, including Dolphin-class vessels potentially carrying nuclear weapons, could threaten American naval assets in the region. Israel's intelligence services, among the world's most effective, might conduct operations targeting American interests globally. The element of surprise and willingness to accept higher risks could offset some disadvantages. But here's where things get really complicated. Neither nation exists in a vacuum. American allies across NATO would face impossible choices between supporting their strongest partner and maintaining relationships with Israel's regional neighbors. European nations depend heavily on American security guarantees, while also maintaining significant trade relationships with both countries. Regional powers would seize opportunities created by this chaos. Iran might accelerate nuclear weapons development while America focuses elsewhere. Russia could expand influence in Eastern Europe or the Middle East. China might move against Taiwan, calculating that American attention is diverted. The entire global balance of power would shift dramatically. Nuclear weapons create the ultimate wild card. Both nations possess substantial arsenals, though America's remains far larger. The doctrine of mutually assured destruction suggests neither side would risk nuclear escalation. But desperate circumstances could change calculations rapidly. Israel's smaller size means even limited nuclear exchange could prove catastrophic, while America's continental span provides more strategic depth. Economic consequences would devastate both nations and ripple globally. American financial markets would crash as investors flee uncertainty. Israel's economy, heavily dependent on technology exports and international partnerships, would collapse almost immediately. Defense contractors in both countries would see contracts canceled, while emergency spending skyrockets elsewhere. The human cost defies imagination. Military casualties would mount quickly given both sides' advanced weaponry and training. Civilian populations would suffer through infrastructure attacks, economic collapse, and potential refugee crises. The psychological trauma of allies. Becoming enemies would scar generations. International law and institutions would face their greatest test since World War II. The United Nations Security Council would struggle to respond with America holding veto power. International criminal court investigations would likely follow, assuming the institution survives the broader collapse of international cooperation. So who would win? Military analysts generally agree that American conventional superiority would prevail in extended conflict. But Israel's technological capabilities and potential for asymmetric responses could inflict devastating costs. The real answer is that both nations would lose catastrophically, along with global stability and prosperity. The aftermath would reshape international relations permanently. New alliance systems would emerge while existing partnerships crumble. Regional conflicts would intensify without American-Israeli cooperation, maintaining delicate balances. Nuclear proliferation might accelerate as nations lose faith in security guarantees. This scenario reminds us why diplomatic solutions matter and why strong alliances require constant nurturing. The alternative, even in theory, proves too terrible to contemplate seriously.